Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the RotoWire #AfterDark Champions League show. My name is Jack Burkart. You can find me on Twitter at Jack Burkart, joined as usual by my Wisconsin compatriot Ryan Belongia. Ryan, I'm actually in Wisconsin right now, which is very exciting. I think we'll play some poker later. I got to visit the mothership. We're going to talk about this 7-game Champions League slate tomorrow with a $10K to first place prize, people collecting tickets. So don't worry, we'll get into that. But I missed what has to be one of the strangest Premier League games of the season today, where West Ham win 2-0. Expected goals said it was no justice. Ryan, how crazy was the game? Did you manage to catch any of it?
Yeah, I watched most of the game. It was crazy. I mean, Newcastle came out hot, and Isak scored a goal, but was offside by like a foot. It went to VAR, and you didn't really know, but. After that, West Ham showed up, Jack, and the machine said they were going to show up, which kind of encouraged me to play them. But I mean, a lot of their players just had their best games of the season. Paqueta was great. Bowen was great. Somerville and Antonio were both really good. Emerson too. Wan-Bissaka scored. I mean, I don't know. It was kind of just like we've been expecting this from West Ham all season, so it's not like that surprising, or at least expecting them to play well more often.
Yeah, there was a team in our pregame videos that we tipped to to finish in the top 10. I think I have like a bet that's like plus 120 or minus 120 on them to do that. They've been really disappointing overall, but it seems maybe play your good attacking players and don't play like 3 center backs and Thomas Suchek and Guido Rodriguez in the same team. When you let good players play, it turns out that you cook a little bit. So might be interesting, especially Newcastle were tipped to be this really good team as well. Everyone was saying how hot they were. I think they had a statement win against Nottingham Forest, but I don't know. Premier League is full of variance. And you know what else is full of variance? The Champions League, Ryan. And I'm really looking forward to this slate. I think it's going to be a fun one. You can see up on the cheat sheet, rotowire.com/soccer trial. You can get access to all our tools, including the cheat sheet. Helps you do all of your research. We have 6 big favorites, Ryan, and 6 teams with a goal total sitting above 2. The 3 biggest favorites that stand out among the rest, we have Barcelona at home to Brest, Manchester City at home to Feyenoord, and Leverkusen at home to RB Salzburg. All these teams have above a 2.5 implied goal total, and some good players to be played, although most of the targets, at least on City and Barcelona, are expensive. A couple deals on Leverkusen, Ryan. They have a few injuries, so maybe you'll talk about that. And then the 3 next best games, Atalanta, they're the Serie A leaders right now. They are away to Young Boys with a 2.15 implied goal total, similar goal totals and win probabilities for Inter at home to RB Leipzig, and Bayern Munich at home to Paris Saint-Germain, PSG, Ryan. I don't know why I just said that whole name. And then there's a game that no one's going to want to play, Arsenal away to Sporting. That feels like a 1-0 Arsenal loss that happens about once every other year. Ryan, tell us about your thoughts when you opened up the slate. One thing I noticed was that Atalanta seemed a little bit underpriced.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the same thoughts you have. Those 3 favorites at the top with basically the same total, and then the next 3 favorites with basically the same total. So, those spots are kind of all the same, or those 3 spots, the first 3 spots are the same, and then the next 3 spots are the same. You can think of it like that. Leverkusen kind of down to bare bones. So some reserves will play, might be a short bench and some decent prices there. Barcelona in a good spot. Looks like Yamal is out, I believe. So that's something we'll talk about. Raphinha has been red hot. He's the same price as Haaland. City, as most people know, I've lost 5 in a row, I think now. Probably going to get a lineup shake up with City. I'd be surprised, if KDB is fit. I'd be surprised if he didn't start. Probably get Grealish coming in too, maybe. Maybe not, but yeah, I think he will shake things up. But yeah, Haaland and Raphinha, same price. Lewandowski's right there. And then, those next 3 games, some cheap prices on the Atalanta forwards. Retegi's really cheap, and Lara is even cheaper if he starts. I think we could see him start. So yeah, I think there'll be a decision of who you spend up for at forward. Maybe it's straightforward for cash games. Defender is interesting. There's some good spend up options, but some guys you could punt too. So, what do you want to do at defender? I think is tough. And then even at midfield, I think there's a decision of who to spend for, one or two guys, who to punt. I mean, it's going to depend on some starting lineups. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this slate, actually. Some big contests too. We don't get really big contests anymore. There's a mega qualifier for the king of the pitch, a bigger one too, 2-entry max. So who would play Haaland over? Oh man, what a question. I mean, I think nobody's been touting Goalkeeper longer than me. I've been asking for him on Arsenal since forever. But yeah, I mean, normally I would agree, Bear, but not against Arsenal here. This is, what Jack said. Arsenal lose 1-0 here. Arsenal are coming off their best performance of the season, riding high, confidence back, Odegaard back. They look great over the weekend. Arsenal's going to win here. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't really want to play Haaland either, but this could be the time when, City are going to bounce back sooner than later. And I mean, this is a pretty good spot for City. I think Feyenoord are dealing with a few significant injuries too. So a Haaland hat trick is definitely in the cards.
For sure. I mean, Ryan, I was making fun of Arsenal, obviously, but they looked like a different team over the weekend with Martin Odegaard back. One of my favorite players in the league, and just the level of play just increased instantly. And I don't think that's a coincidence. I think he's just one of those players that means a ton to how Arsenal play, the way that he can, connect his midfield to the attack and make his own contributions. Just a total leader, Ryan. So I'm a big fan. And, as Martin Odegaard comes into the lineup and really steps up Arsenal's game, I think we'll probably see the same thing if Kevin De Bruyne is able to start for City. They're just a completely different team when they have De Bruyne, and De Bruyne's able to feed Erling Haaland. So, people have yelled at me for the machine producing, 8-point, 7-point floors for Haaland lately, typically a goal-dependent player who can shoot a lot. Well, when you're being fed by Kevin De Bruyne, I actually think you can live up to that billing, perhaps even better. So, with KDB, I think Haaland's somewhat of a floor play overall. But Ryan, let's dive in. I think there's a lot of really interesting stuff to talk about. We'll get through the team news as we talk about the forward position. In cash games, I was just building out my shell and Raphinha, 11,000. He's very expensive, and there's a lot of good plays on this slate, Ryan. So do you really want to spend 11,000 for Raphinha is a legitimate question. And you can ask the same things about Lewandowski, Erling Haaland, and Harry Kane. There are other decent forward options who you can play. I don't think people are going to play Saka in this spot. I wouldn't do it in cash, but Ademola Lookman is 8,600. He takes a partial set piece role. Depending on the starting lineup, it could be a full set piece role. That's an interesting name worth playing. I mean, Retegui, you can play him in the utility as a punt. He's going to be a really likely goal scorer. That seems pretty appealing overall. Ryan, do you want to spend up at one of the forward positions, or are you looking a little bit more balanced? I think this is the primary question of the slate.
Well, I mean, yeah, you would like to. Yeah, I mean, I would like to play Raphinha. He's got the highest floor on the slate. One of the most informed players in the world. Should be taking almost all the sets. Almost always plays 90. No Yamal, good spot. And there'll be enough value to afford him. So that's the thing. It depends how much you like the rest of the value, what you want to do at midfield. There's some cheap midfielders you can play. There's some expensive ones you can play. So same with defender. There's some expensive ones to play. I mean, you're playing one for sure. But yeah, I mean, it depends what you do at the other positions. You'd like to play Raphinha. I'm not sure it's a must. I don't think you're going to spend, you're not going to play Haaland or Lewandowski over him, obviously, in cash games. Kane, not going to do that. Saka, yeah. If he was, if you had the perfect lineup and could only afford Saka instead of Raphinha, I don't think it'd be the worst. Lookman probably better, but depends. I don't know if he's better if Samardzic starts. But if not, then Lookman probably has most of the sets, and it's a pretty good matchup for them. I wouldn't mind playing Lookman. Probably going to punt at least one spot, though. Someone on Atalanta is too cheap. But like you said, you could play them in the flex, too, if you wanted.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. So Lazar Samardzic, he will be in for Atalanta's Ederson, not the goalkeeper for Manchester City, who must not be named, Ryan, who was stained for the 100th consecutive game. That is a dent to Lookman's outlook for sure, but just based on price and maybe being able to be a little bit more balanced, that seems somewhat appealing to me overall. I mean, some other names that are going to stick out at the forward position. Bayer Leverkusen are dealing with something of an injury crisis, as you teased. So Amin Adli is out, Victor Boniface is out, Jonas Hoffman is out, and a bunch of other players are out. Like, I don't think we're expecting Jeremy Frimpong to start either after sustaining a knock over the weekend. So all of Leverkusen's attacking players, they're going to be available to play quite a few minutes. Patrick Schick, normally I consider him a sub risk, but he might get good playing time at 7,600. Probably not in cash, right? But he's going to be a really good tournament play, I think, overall. Just a good game environment. Overall, I think, so that was one name that stuck out to me. Ryan, do you think Bayern should be this big of favorites over PSG? PSG first place in the French league. I think they're 10 wins, 2 draws, no losses. And Bayern are dominating the Bundesliga, but the Bundesliga hasn't done too terribly well in Champions League. I think Bayern have a loss to Aston Villa. Dortmund failed as chalk. You can go back and watch that video and watch us tilt about that with our friend Mo. Do you have any interest in the Bayern Munich guys in this spot? Because, I don't know, the total's really high, but it's just tough to believe.
Yeah, I think they've been in really good form and scoring a lot of goals. So I think it's a really good game for tournaments. I don't think I would go there in cash games with any of these players. But yeah, I mean, I could see there being goals. I mean, yeah, PSG have been good, like you said, but I'm not sure they're quite as strong of team. I mean, they're certainly not as potent, like, offensively as they used to be. Like a bear in the chat, PSG are off. I mean, I think he's just a known PSG hater. But I mean, Bayern are just another level is really what it is. I mean, PSG can compete on their day for sure. There's a lot of world-class players in that PSG team. But it's just, I think Bayern have been in really good form and scoring goals. But yeah, one to target for tournaments because you could see PSG scoring too.
For sure. And then, Ryan, one team that we didn't mention that was interesting at forward. So Inter have been excellent this season. I think they only have one loss on the season. It's September to AC Milan. Lautaro, he's pretty cheap, but he's questionable. Apparently he got sick over international break. And so he's coming back, a huge across the ocean, different continent completely. We might see someone like Mehdi Taremi start. We might see other options like Thuram or Correa start. All of those attackers are in the 6K range, Ryan. Talking about playing a more balanced construction possibly. Those are two guys who could pay off. Inter have a 2.15 implied goal total. Big favorites against the RB Leipzig team. That line also kind of surprised me, but again, I haven't really followed RB Leipzig woes too much. Any interest in the Inter side, Ryan? Or, they have a reputation for a more defensive team, so you're going to look elsewhere.
Well, the forwards are a little bit too cheap. So, yeah, I do think they're good tournament plays. I would have liked to see them more expensive. But in the 6K range, one of them has a pretty good chance to be optimal. Thuram's been in really good form. And really, if Lautaro, they don't really need Lautaro here. So I don't see what happens there. If you can pick out who's going to play 90 minutes. But yeah, it's 5,800 for Lautaro is crazy. I guess, recovered full training. Yeah, I mean, if Lautaro starts here too for 5,800, I mean, that's almost a cash play. I mean, what 5,800? What is that?
6,800, I think. Let me double check his price.
58.
It's no. I'm just not going to believe it. 58.
I mean, he should be 8K, so I don't know. And if he didn't start, Mehdi Taremi's been playing in the Champions League. He takes pens, I'm pretty sure, when he's on the field. Can see one of the Inter guys be in the play for tournaments.
That's ridiculous. Well, you can just ask Adam. I'm known for screwing up prices by a neighboring digits, but I thought 6,800 was too cheap for Lautaro. But if he's got that full training session in 5,800, absolutely a cash play in this spot. It's not the same player who has these like 6-shot performances with 2 expected goals and then doesn't do anything for you. Not like that's happened to me before, but definitely a name I'm interested in then. Ryan, one other name on my sheets. There's a lot of forwards to play. I mean, this is going to be a fun slate overall. Savinho, your boy, he was a lock and showdown over the week. Lock, quote unquote. It would be funny if the users could see us yelling at each other about these inane showdown takes. But one thing I'll mention about Savinho, 70 minutes seems like a likely outcome. He has split set pieces when starting with De Bruyne. So, set piece takers, I think, can get a little hidden ceiling. And it's just worth mentioning that because at 8,000 in a really high total matchup, he could easily get a goal and an assist. But the minutes might not matter is what I'm trying to say. And he's affordable.
Yeah. You broke it down. I was just never going to play Gundogan over Savinho in that showdown. That's what was annoying to me.
We don't have to relitigate this.
No, I just, anyway. I agree with what you said. He's the cheapest way to get City exposure at forward, and in 70 minutes, he could definitely do it. If he takes a few sets, he can put up a big score. There's a lot of forwards on this slate. It adds to the argument of, fading Raphinha. You could get crushed by a Raphinha ceiling, but there's a lot of good forward plays.
I mean, he had that 2-goal game, maybe even the hat-trick game where he absolutely destroyed me in Champions League.
He's just been in incredible form, and they have Ferran Torres out too. Ferran Torres out, Yamal out, Fati out. So you're almost certainly going to get 90 from Raphinha.
Yeah. I mean, he's a good play, Ryan, but, maybe even 20 points isn't enough at 11K on a slate that's projecting for as many goals as this.
I remember I think that was a slate. There was a slate when I played Goalkeeper as leverage and he dropped 25 and it wasn't a good play. So, that could happen.
I absolutely agree. That could happen. And there's plenty of places you could find braces for that are cheaper. So, I mean, if there are 2 braces, one Inter guy gets a brace and then someone like Schick gets a brace, those 2 forwards I think are going to be the optimal lineup, Ryan. And you just might not need the 11K guys need like 30 points. In that
you just have to pick out the cheap one, because some of them are going to play 60 minutes and score 3 points. You just got to pick out the right one.
Well, couldn't be me. Couldn't be me doing that these days. It's been a bad couple of weeks in DFS, Ryan. But if we persist onwards, I think that was a good breakdown of the forward position. Let's slide into the midfield position. Some names that stuck out to me, Ryan, KDB at 8,800. I don't know if he's going to be fit for a full 90, maybe something like we see 70 minutes from him. Pep is a little bit crazy with his subs, though, so who knows. Florian Wirtz is 8,700 in a really plus spot, although it looks like Alex Garcia, who's 5,200, playable in his own right, also chips in on set pieces. So that's a full-blown committee for Leverkusen with Alex Grimaldo, Alex Garcia, and Florian Wirtz. But Wirtz is still a really good play, a goal scorer, someone with a decent floor as well. Who else stuck us? Samardzic, he's 6,400 for a share of set pieces. He looks like a pretty good play at midfield. Ryan, let's think guys 6K and up. Who stuck out to you? I definitely didn't hit everyone.
Well, if Alex Garcia doesn't start, then Wirtz, I think, would be just the lock, first guy in. But if Alex Garcia starts, I don't think Wirtz takes any corners. Wirtz still would take direct free kicks that are shots that he would try to score on. But I think Garcia takes all the crosses over him. So, can't be a lock or anything, but still a good play, obviously. KDB, Yeah, probably, probably go 75 minutes here. But, for 8,800, that's still pretty good. I would want to play KDB. Samardzik too. Yeah, I feel like that's more of a tournament play. If you happen to get the game where he goes 90, I mean, he should just crush in this spot, but I think he barely ever plays. I think he's played 90 minutes once. I don't know why they don't really play him, but they do have some injuries, like, Ederson suspended, Zappacosta out. Also might keep him out there a little bit longer, but probably a better tournament play. Last guy in maybe, but I feel better getting up to the other guys.
Yeah, that would be nice. I have him in my dummy lineup right now. I'm spending up twice at defender, and then I have Raphinha. So it just makes it impossible to have Florian Wirtz and Kevin De Bruyne. But
yeah, no, that's
where
fine.
You want to go.
No, I think he can be a last piece, the same way that like a Lookman or Saka could be a last piece. I think Samardzik can be too, because he could be a really good play. If you get the 90 minutes out of him, like, he might look like the best play.
Yeah. Ryan Bear's mentioning on Pedro Pote. I think that's what DraftKings call him. I think you'll see him as Pedro Gonçalves if you're looking at lineups as that stuff comes out. Matias Nunes might be cheap as well. Any interest in the mid-range? Anyone cheaper you think sticking out in the midfield overall?
I think Pote is actually a decent play. It's too cheap. Normally, I don't want to play anyone against Arsenal, but 5,500 in sets because Nuno Santos is out. Nuno Santos had been taking like all the sets. So yeah, you see these games where Arsenal give up a lot of corners. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen here, but there are scenarios where it does. Sporting are a good team. It's tough to play there. Yeah, he's a little bit too cheap, so I don't mind that. Right there with Alex Garcia, who, you would expect to be just a lock, but then you look at his game log and you almost can't believe it. Let me pull it up for a second. Let me see. I mean, yeah, he doesn't score, he doesn't have very many good games. But yeah, they're just, half the set pieces in a really good spot. If he happened, he's a big sub risk. I mean, what do you think, Jack? You see those games. I mean,
I don't like playing this type of player on DraftKings, Ryan.
No,
especially
I know.
In a Champions League slate. It's like
they have so many injuries. In some ways, I think, I don't know, his game log is probably makes him look a little worse than he actually is, because I think he might be playing more attacking tomorrow. We'll have to see on the lineup. But yeah, just know there's some risk there. I mean, Samardzik might be a better play than him, but also Garcia too. If you get the 90-minute Garcia game, you might look back and think, oh, he was the play. But I don't know. It's risky.
It is risky. I'm just looking at his per 90 stats. So if you're a RotoWire subscriber, you can click the player name. I like to look at players per 90 stats just so you get a view. I'm seeing that in the Bundesliga, Alex Garcia is logging 0.6 shots per 90. Back when he was playing in La Liga, he still is kind of a questionable play sometimes in these interleague slates. You needed set pieces to get there. And you can see that he does well when he does get the set pieces, but he's getting like 6 crosses per season in La Liga. It's a little bit higher, but he's getting more corners per 90 minutes played as well. I just don't have patience for these mediocre open play floor guys that aren't guaranteed to go 90. And on a 7-gamer, I mean, that makes him a tournament play, I guess, I think.
Yeah.
Because set piece ceiling, but it feels icky.
Yeah. It's a pretty good spot, and I think it's a good spot for him to get a bunch of shots assisted. But there's some risk to it.
Yeah, I mean, you could get one of these 4 shots assisted game, get 8 crosses, just get a tidy 14 points.
I mean, yeah, there's that game. I see that game against Leipzig on August 31st. 12 crosses, 6 corners, 4 chances created. You could see something like that. But yeah, also, he played like defensive midfielder or central midfielder quite a few of these times, and he may be in the front three here. I know, he was in the front three over the weekend and played 70 minutes and scored 5 points, but there might be a little bit more upside there than usual.
I think you're selling me on it.
I'm not even trying to sell you. They also have, I'm trying to decide myself. They have Nathan Tella for 4,100, who's going to play the Frimpong role. Oh, Frimpong is apparently he's not that serious. Interesting. I was expecting Tella to start. Okay, so maybe we get Frimpong back. He's only 4,600. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, Tella. I was gonna say if Frimpong wasn't even on the bench, then Tella's a great play. But yeah, now with Frimpong back, I'm not too worried about it.
Might be someone who gets subbed. I don't know, Ryan. I was a little bearish on Alex Garcia, but just like for the listeners, we're talking about a guy. I mean, another like a set piece dependent defensive midfielder, and Andreas Pereira is not like a defensive midfielder, but he plays a little bit more back behind the attacking band for a Fulham. And we're basically talking about a guy who has perhaps a role of set pieces. Andreas is someone who, sometimes subbed a little bit early as well. You can imagine we've seen the ceiling for players like Andreas, and I think that's sort of the archetype that you're leaning into. And we saw Andreas have a good open play floor when he played more attacking last year as well. So that sort of comparison, like, would you pay 5,300 for an Andreas playing in the Emil Smith role and taking some set pieces?
Okay, but now here's the other part of it. Is he? Because you see what he scored 5 points or whatever. Can you just click on what Granit Xhaka did in that game?
I will. 1 second.
With this, different set of players in there.
Yes. Which date?
I mean, the same game, this most recent game, it just happened.
Oh, is that Hoffenheim? 1 goal, 1 assist, and then a healthy 13 floor points.
5, the casual 5 chances created, 3 shots. Alex Garcia scores you 5. Granit Xhaka is sitting there. He's going to play 90 minutes. He's 3,600. He loves a long shot goal. Can't be the worst.
I kind of like it. Granit Xhaka, he strikes me as one of these guys who has a bit of an ego too, and like if the team.
Just look at that game, and if they're going to run out the same lineup. They're going to run out the same lineup. Alex Garcia is not like a central or a front three player.
Yeah. Well, you have the world's most in-depth Alex Garcia breakdown.
Way too much. Just way too much.
I don't know. Really interesting when you have a cheap guy who has this sort of range of outcomes.
No, I just mean like way beneficial for the people.
Oh yeah. Well,
we're
too kind. Yeah. What are we gonna do, Ryan? I saw Martin Odegaard was 4,900, and if I play an Arsenal player, maybe Saka, but I don't know. I've played Odegaard in big spots before, important spots, and when you're sub 5K like that, he's always going to be on the table. I just don't like the game environment, and there's opportunity cost. Even Granit Xhaka, as you've convinced me. Any other cheaper guys that are worthy of mention?
No one that really stands out.
Yeah, I'll say a couple of names, but I don't even think they're that good of plays. Just sort of anticipating questions. Inter, Hakan Çalhanoğlu is out. You might see Christian Eslani. He's 3,800. I think you're going to see Fede DeMarco take set pieces, but then there's other guys. Zielinski and Barea have taken set pieces for Inter. So maybe you can head in that direction if you think Eslani is going to get set pieces. It just seems a little bit risky to me. Ryan, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting him to start. If he starts, I think that's a fine play, actually, for 3,800. I was expecting Barella sets for 75, and then you just don't worry about it. But I like Aslani. Played 90 over the weekend, put up 17, took a couple corners, 6 crosses. So, yeah, I think you could definitely play Aslani for 3,800.
Let's see what the cheat sheet says. It was, okay.
He just doesn't play. He just never plays. That's why, but if he's going to play, then, yeah, he's way too cheap.
He took some free kicks in that game. Okay, as long as he's a pretty
DeMarco
good
didn't play
Ryan.
though. DeMarco didn't play though.
But still, you're talking about a split. In this situation,
Yeah, right,
a
of
split in
course.
a really good spot. Okay.
I mean, it's basically like Çalhanoğlu without pens for 3,800.
You can do that. I don't have to play Jules Koundé in my utility spot in my shell. I got $100 left, so there we go.
Perfect.
Any other names in the midfield spot, Ryan?
No. Well, I mean, you for people that want to get crazy, no, there's not really names, but like you might be able to get like young boys set pieces for $3K, min price. I don't know that you want that, but yeah, I'm not going to do it.
That's a little bit crazy, but I mean, if you can find an underdog with a set piece roll, I mean, I won a King of the Pitch ticket playing one of these guys.
I mean,
just to make
Amiri splits sets and he's 3K. I mean, he always gets subbed at like 60 minutes or even before, but he scored last slate, I think.
Yeah. I mean, Ryan, there's tons of midfielders. We don't have time to mention everyone, but like I think Dani Olmo is slated to start for Barcelona. He's 9,200, someone you can play in tournaments. And then there's one other name who I think we should have mentioned, Joshua Kimmich, as our friend Derek Ray on Fox Sports would say. He took 5 shots over the weekend, had some ridiculous floor. Share of set pieces over there. It's one of those things where Kimmich is more of a tournament play as well, set piece ceiling maybe, but
yeah,
there's a lot of good plays, a lot of opportunity.
He's expensive. You need a set piece ceiling.
Same as Wirtz and De Bruyne.
Foden's there too. There too. Might get Foden starting. No Savinho. So Foden might be interesting for tournaments. I don't think people would really get there.
Is he like 10K or is
he's 10-6? You could play like a 10% owned Foden.
Doesn't he have like no goals at home this season? I've been seeing these meme stats go around, being passed around Tottenham Twitter.
He's never going to score again at home.
Yeah, never, never going to score a goal again at home. You heard it here first. Ryan, let's pivot over to defender. I had a segue queued up with Jules Koundé. We talked about the most recent Champions League slate. It was a Wednesday slate, and we're like, oh, you can play this guy in Brest. You can play Koundé. Whatever. There's a few good plays. I didn't play Koundé, and he smashed. I think he had 2 assists, just like the game of his career, absolutely. Began a very bad run of form for me. He's 3,700, but I don't think he's the main storyline. He's someone who's very playable in this spot, obviously. Barcelona going to have a lot of possession, and he's cheap. I kind of want to play Grimaldo and DeMarco. I mean, Grimaldo, I feel like his minutes are really safe. He'll always have a partial roll of set pieces. I like these spots where Leverkusen have a lot of possession because Grimaldo shoots and crosses on sight almost. So really good floor there. Then Fede DeMarco is always a good play. I feel like, you worry somewhat about minutes, but a split of set pieces is a really positive matchup. Ryan, is it just like a classic, DraftKings 70% for both expensive defenders, or do you think there's some opportunity costs do you think there's options to be played lower that means that you don't just have to click those 2?
No, I think you have to play one. Like you're definitely playing Grimaldo, I think. But there's other options. Yeah, you said Koundé is 3,700, I think, right? Yeah, I played Koundé last slate. Talked about him on last slate. It's not as good of a spot for him here. But yeah. Really, I'll just, what makes him, what made it, Yamal not being there is why it's not as good of a spot. He's just not going to get as many points. Part of the reason why he's a good play is because he's playing next to Yamal. It's the same reason that Timber is a good play when he plays next to Saka. So Timber's 2,600 in this spot. I know it's a bad, not the greatest matchup, but I think you can go there if you want to punt all the way. Like 2,600. I mean, 2,600 is too cheap.
That's too cheap, Ryan. He's a player. I've kind of doubted the Urian Timber, but if the game script is right, he is up there and he looks good in all phases of play. Like a really talented player, I think. So he created 3 chances, I think, recently. He was unlucky.
He also scored and was offside by like a hair.
He wasn't even offside. Someone passed it to him. I think it was like
no one
Kai
runs
Havertz.
worse, Jack. Nobody played him again. Like you know. Oh, what are you gonna do? Forget who did everybody jam? Oh yeah, let's jam Ian Maatson.
Hey, show some respect for the machine. Ian Maatson was actually pretty good in that slate.
Oh yeah, that was fine.
That got a yellow
funny.
card.
It was Estupinian, who I fell for too, though. But
no refunds, Ryan. No refunds in this game. I do like that shout though for 2,600. It's not like salary's tight because there's so many playable options, but he's just someone who lets you get up to the expensive options and has something of a ceiling in him. I think even then, depending on how all the defenders do, for both Grimaldo and DeMarco to be optimal, they're both probably going to need to have 15 points. That just doesn't happen all of the time, even in good matchups.
Right.
They're expensive. Like you have to compare Grimaldo to some of these mid-priced midfielders who are able to score goals. So there's a role for punts, especially if none of the punt midfielders really get there.
Yeah, especially if you want to try to, if you need a ceiling from one of the expensive forwards, then you're going to need a punt. Probably one of the defenders. It's not going to matter if Grimaldo or DeMarco score 12 and you don't have them.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think I want to play Jeremy Frimpong at 4,600. I'm just scrolling through other names. Rico Lewis, 4,500, Ryan.
I think Frimpong would be a good tournament play if he's if he's fit enough to start. That's too cheap. 4,600 is too cheap. Yeah, Rico Lewis. I don't know, Jack. I'm getting a little turned off lately with how City been playing, but I don't know. Depends on the lineup. KDB back in there. Maybe they turn it around the way Arsenal did with Odegaard coming back in. But I don't want, defensive midfielder Rico Lewis. I like Rico Lewis when like Kovacic is in there cleaning up everything and Rico can kind of move free a little bit. But so yeah, probably not here.
Seems like a bad spot. I think Kovacic is confirmed out, or if not, he's a big doubt. Yeah, you might see CDM Rico Lewis there. Oh, we'll just have to text your brother. Thinks it's easy every time. Oh, I have a salty memory these days, Ryan. Any other defenders stick out? We talked about two obvious options, and then we talked about a cheap Koundé and a cheap Timber. I feel like it's the position I've taken the least amount of look at because I'm just playing Grimaldo and DeMarco right now, and I saw Koundé was there. But any other names that are worth thinking about?
Yeah, I don't know who else you could play, really. This Hector Fort on Barcelona is the same price as Koundé, playing on the other side. 3,600 might actually be okay. I don't know. I haven't looked into him, but can't be too bad for 3,600. Yeah, that's probably about it.
Something I was looking at was these cheap Leverkusen center backs. I feel like in Copier, I've seen him make some marauding runs forward, but I opened up his game logs and not taking many shots. It just doesn't match up from what I've seen, but they're all really cheap, which was somewhat appealing to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Take there.
No, that's not bad. He's played different positions in the past. Then what? I was considering them, but then I saw Timber for 2,600.
Yeah,
but not bad. I mean, someone had who Jonathan Tah is only 2,700, as your boy would say. I think he scored a few goals recently.
Jonathan Tah. Incredible. Yeah, I feel like he's a yellow card machine, though that might have been Robert Andrew.
Yeah, no, he is. He can be. But he scored some goals last season, so 2,700, I don't know.
Yeah, that's worth it. I don't know. I think I like the Timber shout better just because he's a player who works well on the flank. I think you laid out a really good case there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's dig into goalkeeper. I needed to play someone cheap, so maybe we can talk about the inexpensive goalkeeping options to see if anyone sort of sticks out. I guess Young Boys keeper, that might be appealing because, cheapest home goalkeeper. That's the Jordan Cooper method. Never too bad. I don't know. Right now, I have the Brest goalkeeper in. Do you think there's a cheap goalkeeper that can be supported on a team that likes to shoot a lot from distance?
I think Wallenreuther can be supported based on the fact that he's playing a team that's lost 5 straight games. And yet KDB could come out and rip shots. Foden will. So yeah, that's fine. I think, yeah, the young boys keeper, obviously you're going to look there as the cheapest home keeper. I think that's a fine play. Probably not going to, the Salzburg keeper is more of a tournament play. Everyone's going to be playing multiple Leverkusen pieces. So probably not going to play the Salzburg keeper. Yeah, I don't know, Jack. Don't mind Raya.
I'm seeing that we have Jan Sommer at 5,500 and Manuel Neuer at 5,300. Pretty similar spots. I mean, if we scroll up to the top of the cheat sheet, we have the clean sheet odds right there. You're talking about sacrificing, with Bayern a little bit more, but sacrificing a little bit of clean sheet and win equity for slightly cheaper. We usually don't see 5,500 goalkeepers like Jan Sommer for Inter Milan with these types of win odds. So I don't know, one of these cases where the expensive guys are pretty appealing because there's so many favorites. The cheapest of the expensive ones overall.
Yeah. Sommer's not bad. I don't know. I couldn't play. I mean, Neuer has the same clean sheet odds as Raya. I just try to find the money. Even Sommer. It's okay, but never love playing a keeper against Sesko and Openda. It's just you can't really be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get a clean sheet here.
I think I found it, Ryan. Franco Israel. I gave the people the 1-0.
Franco Israel, yeah, that's fine. He's playable.
I gave the people the Sporting Lisbon 1-0.
That game could be very easily 1-0 one way. Could be 0-0.
I don't think he's that expensive either. I think he's kind of cheap. So that's actually, I was doing a bid at first, but how many people are going to play Arsenal? He's 46.
I would rather get up to Raya. He's 46 and Raya's 49.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Either one are fine.
Yeah, either one are fine. No, just a good. I doubt many people are going to be playing Arsenal guys in tournaments, so it's just the only reason it stood out. But it's not like there's leverage in that or anything. You mentioned something about a goalkeeper. Leverkusen are going to be chalk, and then Schlager for RV Salzburg. I'll keep on mentioning this. It's not the first time I have. I think Saramek won the rest in peace Saramek. He won the King of the Pitch slate, the main GPP, with a Manchester City stack, and the only goalkeeper he could fit in was the West Ham goalkeeper. Sometimes it just doesn't matter. So if we don't have a big goalkeeper performance anywhere, you can make that sort of thing work. Especially on a 7-gamer where you just need saves.
Rip Saramek.
I know he's listening from West Asia or wherever he is these days. Maybe he's still working on finding a proxy. Not that we would talk about such things on public radio. Oh man, Ryan. Any final takes for the people? I think we gave out a lot of plays, and honestly, there's 6 really good spots. So if you want to come into our Discord, rotowire.com/chat, and say, can't believe Jack and Ryan didn't talk about X, I'll say this. That person's probably a pretty decent play. There's a lot of good plays on this slate. So you just have to make your bed and then sleep in it. And hopefully, you played the right thing. Maybe I'll save my thought. Jordan talked about in the King of Pitch slate, stacking one game and just hoping that you find a 6-goal game. That seems kind of interesting to me. And there's a couple stackable games in this one, Ryan. Do you think that has some merit here, or are you going to maybe try to pick off a few hat tricks or something and just hope you get lucky?
No, I think either one of those has merit. Yeah. Stack one of the favorites and they score 5 goals and the other score 1. We see it all the time. Like you said, if if we didn't talk about some player on here, they're probably a good tournament play.
I agree with that. All right. I think we will wrap it up. Remember, the best way to support the show is to become a subscriber. RotoWire.com/soccer-trial if you're not already. I keep doing this announcement, Ryan, and I think it works because, we see some familiar avatars from the Liga MX lobby stroll in. So it's always nice to see new people. You should join for a couple days, even if you're morally opposed to paying, $10 a month for hours of convenience in your life, just to share my feelings on that. So I hope you consider joining us if you're not a sub already. If you're not willing to do that, we appreciate you watching. Give us a thumbs up, like, comment, do all of that stuff. Shout out to Bear, who's hanging out, spitting some fire in the chat. No Ozzy. Ozzy, I hope you're okay. And we'll see you folks for the next one. Good luck. I hope I win that 10K. I was robbed by Vinny Jr., but if it's not me, maybe it's Ryan or one of the other RotoWire subs. So good luck in that tomorrow.
Thanks, Jack. Thanks, Bear. Good luck, everybody.